Man, I know a lot of people are going to be upset with the way SmackDown Live ended tonight. And I really don't like Randy Orton in that position. Randy Orton coming out at the end of SmackDown Live tonight. I honestly think WWE could have did without any of that. The RKO, Randy Orton sending the fans home happy. I don't know what they tried to accomplish there. That's the one thing that I'm still sitting here thinking about as soon as SmackDown Live went off the air. We're going to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how SmackDown Live blew Monday Night Raw out of the water. At least we didn't have any fucking EC3 sightings, posing, or Bobby Lashley bending over on SmackDown Live. We actually got a damn good show tonight. SmackDown Live had a feel of a go-home show tonight. It had a big fight feel tonight. And we had Mustafa Ali versus Samoa Joe in a very, very good match. Andrade, Cien, Almas versus Rey Mysterio, 2 out of 3 falls. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the way that both of these guys killed each other, what I think could materialize from this. SmackDown Live doing a very good job at building credible threats in the Royal Rumble without having to resort to the just cringe-like way WWE tends to build up the Royal Rumble. Let's send everybody out from the locker room and have everybody just battle each other in the ring as we go off the air to build hype for the Royal Rumble. They didn't do that this year. Get a little golf clap from me, Vince. Good job there, man. SmackDown Live, though, was a very good show tonight. Big fight feel. Go-home show for the Royal Rumble. We also got Becky Lynch and Asuka in a Pier 6 brawl. I'm going way back with that. Fucking the monsoon days, man. Just a huge brawl that occurred in the middle of the ring in front of the live audience and then spilled into the back. I was waiting for Mean Gene Okerlund to pop out and get a word with both ladies on the way to the Royal Rumble. See, that's when Mean Gene or an individual like Mean Gene would have really come into play, man. I remember back when, if you guys remember the 1993 Royal Rumble with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. Shawn Michaels defending the IC title against Marty Jannetty. Whose corner is Sensational Sherry going to be in? After the match, Michaels dumped Sherry, and he goes to the back with the Intercontinental Championship, and Sherry goes running back, and they start arguing. There's fucking food being thrown all over the place. It's just a fucking huge chaotic scene backstage. Jannetty comes. He comes flying through the curtain. Mean Gene's trying to get a word with Sherry. That's what it reminded me of. So, I love what they did tonight as far as Asuka and Becky Lynch. And we got a nice undercard match with Naomi and Mandy Rose, continuing that storyline as well here on SmackDown Live. But we're going to go over all of it. We're going to go over all of it tonight on the podcast. If you guys missed my Monday Night Raw review, we actually went in-depth on everything coming out of Monday Night Raw for their go-home show. The Finn Balor situation with his match and Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman still lingering around. The Universal Championship main event scene on Monday Night Raw. Why Raw was so god-awful. Complaining on my end, it certainly did piss me off last night about Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey being in the ring 6 days before the Royal Rumble, just throwing all that anticipation out the window. And WWE did such an admirable job about keeping them away from one another all year, and they couldn't last 6 more days. And the spot with the bank statement last night on Monday Night Raw also pissed me off, with Sasha getting the bank statement on Ronda Rousey. Like I said, anticipation is thrown out the window with this fucking company. They don't cherish anything anymore. They really don't like to build that hype and anticipation. They just want to give you everything or give you a tease of something and burn shit out before we actually get to the big pay-per-view on a Sunday. I don't like that, man. I don't really like that mentality that WWE has nowadays by giving everything away for free. I don't like that at all. Some things need to be saved for the pay-per-view, but we talk about that amongst many other things on the Monday Night Raw podcast. Go and check it out. Link is in the annotation in the top right corner. We did over 30,000 views in less than 24 hours. Man, you guys are kick-ass. Almost 2,000 likes. Thank you so very much for all your support. Off the Script, also live on the channel, part 1, 2, and 3. Big stories on the Revival. Make sure you guys go and check that out. A lot of news concerning them asking for their release, as well as everybody else in the WWE asking for their release. So the AEW effect is definitely in full force. Go and check everything out. Links will be in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of the screen. Follow me on social media, man. JD from New York on Twitch, at JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram, respectively. Make sure you guys go follow me on Instagram, man. I'm posting a lot more on Instagram. Little clips from the podcast to get you guys hyped. Just a lot of shit on there, man. So make sure you guys go and follow me on Instagram. Twitter, you guys know the deal with that. I'm on Twitter every event. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, pay-per-views. I'll be live tweeting during the Royal Rumble, man. If you guys want my in-real-life thoughts, minute by minute on the Royal Rumble, Twitter is where I will be from 5 p.m. on until the end of the show, until I do the review, man. Also, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys want to support the podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Just a little advertisement here, man, before we get into the podcast tonight. I have a new t-shirt. If you guys are following me on Twitter, you guys will have seen it already, a little sneak peek on Twitter. But Friday on the podcast for the Royal Rumble preview and predictions, we will be unveiling a new t-shirt, which, by the way, I just got approved on Barbershop Window, so it will be up on Barbershop Window before the podcast goes live on Friday. I can't wait for you guys to see it. So it's going to be a big deal, man. This is probably one of the best designs that we've ever had. Sal Rex kicked this one right in the balls, man. He nailed it. He nailed this one. It's going to be fucking great. I have a feeling this is going to be on Negan level, man. The JD's Negan t-shirt, the most popular design that we've ever done. I think it's going to be on par with that. That's how good and how beast this design is, man. So Friday, a new shirt unveiled on Barbershop Window for you guys to support. All you need to ask yourself is this: do you want to be a part of the Off the Script Elite? If so, you're going to enjoy this shirt on Friday, man. Thank you guys so very much for all your support on the podcast. Let's kick this podcast off, man, with the opening of SmackDown Live. Becky Lynch and Asuka throw down on the opening to SmackDown Live. Becky comes on out, and fans start chanting her name. I want to throw it out there for all the Becky haters, man. A lot of people are waiting for Becky to fail, and I don't really know why. You know, it's the same old rinse and repeat with all these fucking fickle fans. People think I'm fickle. I'm not fickle at all. I just want good wrestling. I'm not fickle whatsoever. When the product is trash, I will tell you it's trash. When the product is good, I will tell you it's good. Just like tonight. It was a good show. It was a very watchable show. But people are awaiting Becky to fail, and I don't know why. And ever since she became the most popular female in the WWE, people are waiting in line for this woman to just fall off her throne. I can't figure it out. It's like someone gets popular and it's just hatred all over the place. I guess that's the normal thing nowadays, but whatever the case may be, I hope WWE is in planning mode, because I don't understand WWE and their logic. I feel that WWE is really riding the wave right now with Becky and her momentum. And what I mean by that is I feel WWE is getting a little bit lazy with Becky Lynch. I feel like she's definitely taken a few steps down, and it's not really her fault. She's doing everything she can, whether it's social media, whether it's just continuing this entire man gimmick. But I feel WWE, for Becky Lynch, I feel like they're really riding the coattails, and they're getting lazy because Becky Lynch is hot and Becky Lynch is over, incredibly over. And I feel like WWE is simply relying on that. You got to do much more than that, man. You got to do much more than that. I think last week was a step back. I think this week they stopped the little bleeding that there was, and they presented Becky Lynch in the way that we've seen her in the last couple of months. This was great. I really enjoyed this. Becky says it's good to be back in town. She says there's nothing like doing more fighting in the ring, but now she has something to say, and there's nothing she likes doing more than fighting in the ring, but she has all this opinion being thrown at her, right? People have this opinion on her and what she should be doing nowadays, and how she should be doing the gimmick, and how she should be speaking, and how she should be acting. Right? Everybody's got an opinion of their own, she says. She says the only thing the man should be doing is main eventing WrestleMania. There's your seed right there. There's your little hint right there. She wants it. We want it. Now it's in the promo. So she says she's going to slap the heads off everyone who gets in her way on the way to WrestleMania. Becky says that journey starts in 5 days at the Rumble. She brings up Asuka, saying she watched her clean out NXT and then steamroll through SmackDown Live. I don't know what version of SmackDown Live Becky was watching, but Asuka didn't steamroll through anybody on SmackDown Live. Well, at least not in my world, or if my memory serves me correctly. I mean, all I remember is Asuka being embarrassed by Carmella and WWE Creative and James Ellsworthless. Can't forget him. So I don't know who Asuka steamrolled through, but Asuka is at least on WWE's list of priorities, and they're trying to rectify Asuka's miserable middle half of 2018. Becky goes on and says Asuka is one of the best in the world, but she's better. Becky says Asuka never beat her for the title, and she's going to take out the Empress just like she took out the Queen. Now, Asuka comes out. Asuka's music hits the PA, right? And I might be a fickle fan here with what I'm about to say. Becky's in the ring. Asuka interrupts. The music goes off. Asuka's dancing down the aisle. Got the title around her waist. Got the mask on. She's got her fan. She's got her robe. She does her whole deal. The whole entrance, right? Do we really need to see Asuka do all that just to come on into the ring and then not even pick up a microphone? Now, I might be reaching for a fucking complaint here, but shit like that really irks me. Asuka is coming down to merely shut Becky up. Why all the theatrics when you're simply coming down to the ring to shut this woman up after she spoke negatively about you? See, those are the little minute details that I wish WWE would fix. I don't think we'd see that type of shit in NXT. I'm just saying. Those little details, man. Attention to detail. Asuka didn't need to do the whole fucking spiel as if she was wrestling a big title match. It's ridiculous. It's kind of silly. So Asuka hits the ring. She does her whole deal. She got the title. She's posing with the title. Becky stares her down. Asuka raises the title in Becky's face and talks trash in Japanese, but without a microphone. So then Charlotte's music hits, and I felt everybody's eyeballs rolling in the back of their head when Charlotte's music hit. Flair comes out to speak on the ramp. She never gets in the ring. She says as much as she enjoys this and is excited for Becky and Asuka on Sunday, nothing will be more exciting when she tosses 29 other women out in the Royal Rumble. She mentions the choices for WrestleMania 35 being Sasha Banks. I'm not worried about Sasha Banks. I've beaten her over and over and over again. That's going to bury Sasha Banks on her way to Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, she says, I beat her and her ass with good old Ken, she says. Kendo stick? Yeah, lame. Then she mentions Asuka and how she beat Asuka's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Asuka is very upset by this. And Flair says she's owned the division while looking at Becky. Owned the division for the past 4 years, and she is the main event. So Asuka then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, attacks Becky, silences the crowd, and Flair watches as this melee is going on. We got referees and producers, management coming down to the ring to break this big brawl up. Becky fights all of them off, goes for Asuka again. Asuka launches Becky into the barricade, and they fight over the announce table. Then Becky whips Asuka with her jacket as officials try to break them up again. Becky jumps off the announce table and takes Asuka down. Becky then runs up the ramp as Asuka is screaming in Japanese, trying to get to Becky. So then we see them brawling again backstage, even more officials, producers, management, trying to break this thing up. The first thing that I thought about, and I know a lot of people were texting me the same thing, was maybe WWE going with a no DQ stipulation based off what we seen tonight. Now, when would that be announced? WWE can announce that on social media whenever they want. They can announce that on the pre-show on Sunday, right before the Royal Rumble event. It's something that would definitely get a little bit more of an open situation as far as fantasy booking this. Because I don't know what WWE is going to do with Becky Lynch, Asuka, or any of the women at the Royal Rumble. And I'm not really here to predict anything. We'll talk about it more on Friday when we do the preview and predictions. But I'm honestly very intrigued by the outcomes that they come up with. And I'm in a situation where I'm just enjoying everything that I'm seeing, and I'm enjoying the ride that WWE is taking us on. I just hope that they know that the fans want Becky, we've wanted Becky, and we are going to be unhappy if we don't get Becky. It's going to be funny if we don't get Becky, how all the haters are going to come out from their little fucking caves, all these cretins on social media, ready, willing, and able to bash everybody that wants Becky. It's quite the disgusting scene on social media. I say, stay away. Stay away. But I'm enjoying what's going on here, and I'm excited for Becky and Asuka, even though it's not a match that I would have booked for the Royal Rumble. I'm excited to see what those two women can produce for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Mandy Rose and Naomi. We get a nice little feud culminating here on SmackDown Live. Mandy Rose wins here. Not really all that impressive with what these two women did in the ring. Sonya Deville tries to interfere after she distracts the referee. Naomi kicks Deville back down to the mat on the outside. Rose takes advantage and rams Naomi into the ring post. Rose quickly covers Naomi for the pin. After the match, Mandy Rose exits and celebrates with Sonya Deville. Naomi is in the ring, very distraught, and we have her husband there in the ring, who is Jimmy Uso, and she is very, very agitated right now. In a bad mood was Naomi that she lost to Mandy Rose thanks to Sonya Deville's interference. We go from that to the Miz versus Cesaro. Last week it was the Miz versus Sheamus in the main event of SmackDown Live, and still to this day, a week later, I don't understand why. After everybody for weeks was uninterested in this shit, they put them in the main event over Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Rey Mysterio. All week people were talking about the Rey and Andrade match from last week. And they put that shit on in the main event. Thank God they rectified that this week. But we got Miz versus Sheamus last week, and now this week it's Miz versus Cesaro. Not really interested in anything that happens here. But what they did at the end of the match gave you a nice little boost for the tag team titles on SmackDown Live at the Royal Rumble. So Cesaro wins here. Miz goes to the top, but Cesaro catches him on the way down with a big European uppercut, 2 count only. Sheamus runs over and knocks Shane into the barricade because he jumped on the apron. Miz takes advantage of a distracted Cesaro for a close 2 count. Cesaro blocks a skull-crushing finale. Sheamus decks Miz through the ropes while the referee is distracted. Cesaro nails the neutralizer for the pin and the win. After the match, Shane attacks Sheamus at ringside and starts just going in on him. Cesaro makes the save, but Shane sends him into the ring post. Shane takes apart the announce table. Shane then goes to the top for his big elbow drop. He wants the elbow drop through Cesaro and the announce table, but Sheamus comes from behind and pushes him off. Shane lands on the floor pretty hard. Miz goes down, and the bar goes to the outside to double team Shane on the floor. Sheamus delivered a bro kick to Shane McMahon that nearly took his fucking face off. It was almost like it was a Mortal Kombat fatality. Brutal fucking shit, man. They slowed it down in slow motion. Absolutely levels him with a fucking bro kick. Bar then places Miz on the announce table. Bar lifts Shane up and power bombs the Miz through Shane and the announce table, and that was that. So we got a nice little, addition of intensity added to this feud. I honestly think it's too little too late. I could see the Miz and Shane McMahon winning the tag team championships on Sunday, but it will do nothing for this viewer. I just don't care. I really don't care. Do you care? I guarantee you everybody watching me genuinely doesn't care. Will it be an entertaining match? Probably. But do you care about the end result? I don't. And there's a report in the Observer this week that Vince McMahon is going to start giving us tag team wrestling. Tag team divisions are going to be a priority to Vince McMahon moving forward. I want to see how long this lasts. I'll give it 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. Mustafa Ali. I have to praise Mustafa Ali. They went back and they chronicled Joe's attack on Mustafa Ali. There was a video package that was beautifully shot that included words from Ali, who says Joe's eyes told him that he was worried to be in the ring with Ali, and Ali was just a message to everyone else in the Rumble that Ali was nothing. Ali wants Joe to square up and look directly into his eyes now. And then Ali goes on about how he has a purpose and absolutely no fear. Ali says he can absolutely defeat Joe tonight on SmackDown Live. Now, that was just the short end of the story. Or the short end of the video package that they showed. This was absolutely great stuff, man. Best promo in Mustafa Ali's life tonight on SmackDown Live. And I'm so happy to see Mustafa Ali graduate from 205 Live, be placed on SmackDown Live, and he's thriving and succeeding. So far, so good. I can't really shit on it. Normally, in this type of situation, WWE would have buried him, or WWE really wouldn't have honed in on the type of talent that he is and utilized him. I honestly think that they've utilized him in the best way possible. I really do. I honestly think that Mustafa Ali is going to have a huge year in 2019 if they keep booking him the way that they're booking him. I love it. I can only hope for the same amount of success for Cedric Alexander, who I also love, and Buddy Murphy. It's one of those things that needs to happen. Can't keep them in the 205 Live bubble for their entire WWE stay. You can't. They're too talented. Those types of talents could add so much to the show. And everybody was worried, Mustafa Ali coming over from 205 Live, is he going to be over? He's definitely over. You keep doing video packages like that, and you keep putting him against guys like Joe, who are natural fucking villains. Mustafa Ali plays the babyface role beautifully. He's the underdog. He was on Lillian Garcia's podcast, and Vince McMahon sat him down and told him exactly what he needs to do weeks ago when he made his SmackDown Live debut. The money that you're going to make, the people that are watching you, they want to see you come from behind. You're an underdog. You need to constantly fight from behind. That's where your money is. And that's exactly what he's been doing, and he's been doing it brilliantly, perfectly. So, I'm glad to see Mustafa Ali succeeding. Is he over? Yes. His work alone is getting him over. And if they continue to showcase him like they did tonight in those types of video packages, he's going to be over even more. Mustafa Ali could be in for a huge Sunday at the Royal Rumble. You know, you talk about the Iron Man. Who's going to be the Royal Rumble Iron Man? Is it going to be Almas? Is it going to be Mysterio? Rollins? Elias? I could see Mustafa Ali being Sunday's Iron Man in the Royal Rumble. What a fucking feather in the cap that would be for him if he's in the Rumble with all these other guys as an underdog lasting 40, 50 minutes. What that would do for his career. And if they do that with Ali, then you definitely know they're backing Mustafa Ali and they're going to be showcasing him more in a priority role on SmackDown Live. Good stuff, man. I love it. Absolutely love it. Vince McMahon comes out. It boggles my mind how anybody could cheer this man. Now, I understand that they're cheering the Mr. McMahon character and everybody sings along to the theme music. No chance in hell. Whatever. When I look at Vince McMahon, I develop nausea. Yes, he's great on television. Yes, he adds, I would say, a must-see aspect to the show or the segment that he's in. Everything feels a little bit more important because he is Vince McMahon. But he's in the ring. Says he will reserve comment for what just happened to his son and The Miz at the hands of the Bar. Says that will be a hell of a match on Sunday at the Rumble. People giving him what chance? Vince hypes up the WWE title match between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan for the Rumble. Word on the street is AJ Styles has still not signed a WWE contract. I don't know what the holdup is, but from what I hear and the people that I know who are in with some people in the company, AJ Styles is being very particular. And I'm not sure if WWE is, in the boat where they're going to give him what he wants, or if he's going to go elsewhere. I don't think AJ's going anywhere. If I had to choose, I think AJ's pretty much set on staying with the WWE, but it's very interesting that as of right now, he hasn't been signed to a new contract, or at least he hasn't signed the dotted line for a new contract. So it's up in the air what happens at the Rumble. It's up in the air what he does at WrestleMania. It's been rumored that it's going to be AJ versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania, something that I wouldn't mind. But it's going to be, I think, a little bit more of a clearer indication of what's going on with AJ Styles when we see the conclusion of his match with Daniel Bryan at the Rumble. So, Bryan and AJ are introduced. AJ's out first, and then Vince introduces Daniel Bryan. Now, Bryan is on the outside, and he won't enter the ring. So it's Vince and AJ in the ring. Bryan's on the outside. Bryan is not falling for this trap, he says. He refuses to come into the ring and stand in the ring with a sociopath. I know a few of them. I know a few of them in the community. Sociopaths. Bryan brings up how AJ attacked him in the concourse last week, or the concessions last week. Bryan goes on and says he can't allow AJ to take the title from him. Bryan says AJ used his power to get fame and money. It's pretty interesting, man. Bryan says AJ used his power to get fame and money, while he uses his power for the greater good. As if he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Daniel Bryan. AJ asks if the greater good is Bryan coming out here and talking like a jackass. I thought this was the new AJ Styles, or the real, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up the real and the new. I don't know who the fuck is real and new anymore. The real AJ Styles. I thought this was a more intense, vicious AJ Styles. Using words like jackass and telling people to shut up. Not really what I look at when I look at intensity. Got to be a little bit more better than that, man. So Bryan says AJ never makes the fans think or feel guilty about their actions, which they should feel bad about every single day, he says. He goes on to say he doesn't care about their feelings because he's not the people's champion. He is the planet's champion. So he is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and Captain America rolled into one. This is what Captain America would look like and sound like if he was the WWE champion. Bryan goes on about using this platform to be a voice of the planet. AJ mentions how Bryan didn't ride his bike to the arena, but he rode a plane, just like AJ did to get here in the arena. And there's a word for people like you. Now, he used the word fickle. I thought he was going to use the word hypocrite. People were chanting hypocrite in the crowds, but he used the word fickle. AJ goes on about how Bryan is afraid of him, afraid of what will happen in 5 days at the Rumble. AJ says Bryan has corrupted his morals for one thing, the WWE title. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Sounds very familiar. Samoa Joe said the same thing about AJ Styles during their feud in 2018. Samoa Joe said AJ Styles gave up everything. He gave up his family life. He gave up his responsibility for his family for the WWE Championship. And now AJ Styles is turning that around and using the morals thing that Daniel Bryan gave up his morals for the WWE title. A little rehash there, man. That's what I got out of this. A little rehash here with Bryan and AJ. Not so much, but it was definitely drawing similarities to what AJ did with Samoa Joe in late 2018. So AJ goes on to say, what happens when I take that one thing from you, Daniel Bryan? What will you have left? And he says nothing. Bryan goes on to quote Carl Sagan, but Vince interrupts and says, listen, I'm tired of this, man. Get in the ring. Tells Bryan to get in the ring. Bryan, in one of the highlights of Bryan's heel run so far, yells at Vince McMahon, with Vince looking on, says, of course Vince doesn't want to listen to this because Vince and the entire baby boomer generation are great parasites of the world. You all go on about how your generation does nothing but take. He goes on about Vince's generation doing nothing but take, and the people still bow to you for it. Bryan goes on about how Vince is hoarding the wealth of WWE, and AJ, until Vince interrupts, telling him to get back into the ring. Vince is getting agitated at this point. AJ says he knows Vince advertised a face-to-face with Daniel Bryan, and if that's what everybody wants, I'm going to give it to you right now. And they start brawling on the outside. AJ runs after Bryan. Bryan drops the WWE Championship. And AJ is on the outside. Bryan rolls into the ring. And AJ hops up on the apron just as quickly. Tries to do a phenomenal forearm. But Bryan in the ring tries to use Vince as a human shield. And with AJ coming off the top rope, he jumps into the ring. Does not deliver the phenomenal forearm. And Bryan takes advantage of this cowardism and delivers the big running knee to AJ Styles, and he runs away with the WWE title being held up in the air. This was a fantastic segment. Mostly on Bryan's part. AJ was kind of boring. But Bryan, in his heel role, man, the guy is getting better week by week by week with this character, man. We all wondered what Daniel Bryan was going to be like as a heel and where this character was going. Absolutely no question, man. They're giving him free reign to build this character and get across what he wants to get across. He's coming off in the most brilliant way possible. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I don't know what could be the outcome of this match at the Royal Rumble. You know, my heart wants to say Daniel Bryan because he's just so fucking good at what he's doing right now. But my mind wants to say AJ. I'm very conflicted on what they do here for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. I don't really know. All I know is that it's going to be a great match. And just like what we seen at their last pay-per-view outing, I think this one's going to be even better. So I'm excited to see what happens there. R-Truth is backstage with Carmella. They're talking about the men's and women's Royal Rumble respectively, how they're both number 30. Truth was asked by Carmella, and she says, who are you going to pick, AJ Styles or Brock Lesnar? And he goes with AJ Styles. So she asks, well, what about Brock Lesnar? You don't want a piece of Brock Lesnar? And Truth doesn't want to be taken to Sioux Falls City, he says. And then Carmella corrects him and says, no, Truth, it's Suplex City. And Truth says, yeah, that place too. So Truth mentions possibly going for the Cruiserweight Championship against Bobby Murphy. And Carmella corrects him again, it's Buddy Murphy. Reminding him it's Buddy Murphy. They joke about 205 Live, and, you know, she says, I think there's a weight limit for 205 Live, Truth. And he says, well, now you think I'm fat? And he walks away. So Carmella's standing there saying, I never said you were fat, Truth. She walks into Charlotte Flair. They have words about the Women's Royal Rumble. Carmella says she's number 30 and no one is getting past her. Charlotte says, yeah, you got a good number. You got a good number. I don't know what number I am, but I know I'm going to WrestleMania. And I will be the Rumble Tornado, is what Charlotte Flair says. Samoa Joe versus Mustafa Ali. This was a damn good match, man, for what it was. I was wondering what they would do here if they were going to give Ali the win, but Samoa Joe got a clean win over Mustafa Ali, man. I think WWE, just for the time being, just going into the Rumble, they're building up Joe as a credible threat. in the Rumble who could dominate at any point he wants. You know, he is someone that could definitely have a slew of eliminations. And I like the fact that WWE is building up Samoa Joe as a credible threat in the Rumble, but we all know that Samoa Joe doesn't stand the chance of winning the Royal Rumble. But he definitely stood a chance at beating Mustafa Ali tonight, and that's exactly what he did. Joe makes Ali tap out with the coquina clutch, man. So Ali, towards the end of this thing, nails Joe with several super kicks. Delivers his own brand of a super kick party here. Ali then hits a big tornado DDT for a 2 count. Ali then drags Joe over to the corner to go to the top for the 054. Joe quickly gets up, cuts him off, crotches him on the top rope. Joe brings Ali off the top rope with the coquina clutch, taking Ali down to the mat, applies the hold in the middle of the ring, locks the legs, and Ali taps out. Joe held on to the hold for about a good 5 seconds after that, and Ali was knocked out. That was pretty much it. Very, very self-explanatory. Ali fought from behind most of the match. Exactly what I told you, what Vince McMahon wanted him to do. He's a babyface. That's where his money is, coming from behind. No better guy to come from behind against than Samoa Joe. Ali, though, all that and the quick burst of offensive attack at the end was not enough for Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe taps Ali out with the coquina clutch. Kayla Braxton's backstage with the New Day, and she asks if they would eliminate each other in the Rumble on Sunday. Now, Xavier Woods says that they get this asked every year, whether it's Renee Young, Mike Rome, Kayla Braxton. Where's Tony Chimel? Is he going to ask us next? So Tony Chimel was actually there, and he comes up to the New Day with a microphone in hand, and Big E says, "Get out of here, Chimel. Edge isn't here. There's no Edge here." You know, because Tony Chimel does that introduction for Edge, the rated R superstar. So it was nice to see Tony Chimel, man, in the WWE on SmackDown Live, just for a nice little one-off cameo here. So they were ultimately watching footage of past Royal Rumbles here. And we all know that Kofi Kingston and the New Day usually have a spot in the Rumble in which they do this, I guess, feat of trying not to get eliminated in the most bizarre, creative ways possible. So Kofi was like, I have a big idea for this year at the Royal Rumble. Kayla Braxton wanted some inside information. Kofi says you're just going to have to watch the Rumble on Sunday because he's not revealing it just yet. Then we get to our main event, man. Then we get to our main event on SmackDown Live. Andrade Cien Almas. I will be calling him Cien Almas for the foreseeable future, folks, because he will always be Cien Almas to me. And Rey Mysterio, 2 out of 3 falls. Now, I have loved everything that these guys have done. Everything. I've been high on Almas since his days in NXT. I thought he was coming up and he was going to have all this success on SmackDown Live. I thought it was going to be great. He's going to be on SmackDown Live. He's going to dominate like he did in NXT. He's going to be world champion. 2018 wasn't the best year for Almas. Word on the street is that Almas is telling his friends in every other promotion that he knows people in to stay away from WWE because it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's all fantasy. Once you're here, it's not really all that great. That's what he's been telling people like Roosh and Bandito, all his friends, right? So Rey Mysterio comes on in, and when Rey Mysterio came back to the WWE after doing his little stint on the Indies, Lucha Underground, New Japan, Rey Mysterio came to SmackDown Live, and he immediately fell victim to what everybody falls victim of on the main roster. They feel ordinary. Rey Mysterio did not feel special. Almas, coming up from NXT, did not feel special. And now we are days away from the Royal Rumble. And for the first time, I can honestly sit here and genuinely tell you, I've been high on Almas. He's been special to me ever since his Johnny Gargano 5-star fucking classic at TakeOver Philadelphia in January of 2018. He's been special to me since then. Everybody now who's told me, get off Almas's cock, or Almas is a mid-carder, right? Everybody that wasn't on the Almas bandwagon is now on the Almas bandwagon. Now, he is feeling special. I'm getting that sense that Almas has got this special feeling around him now. I knew it. I was just waiting for it to happen. Those who were Almas detractors are now seeing it. Ray might have been special to you. He might be one of your favorites. Ray fell victim to that ordinary feeling that everybody gets when they fall victim to the main roster on WWE. Now Ray is feeling special. And it's amazing how all it took was a feud with Andrade, Cien, Almas on SmackDown Live. Two guys who are of equal skill. Two guys who know the lucha style better than anybody. Two guys who could tear the fucking building down on any night WWE gives them the spotlight. It's taken us all this time, and now finally Ray and Almas feel special on the main roster. Now, the one thing I had a problem with, and it was after last week. Last week, everybody loved it. It was great. Classic match, right? Then WWE announced that we're going to see it again. 2 out of 3 falls. Said it on last week's show. How many times is WWE going to go into the cookie jar and pull out that cookie? Yeah, it tastes good. You want another one, right? Then you eat the second one and you want another one. Before you know it, you're down to 3, 4, 5, 6 cookies that you've already consumed. You see, WWE sees these guys as the go-to now. Oh, look at everybody. Look at all the social media impressions. Look at all the statistics and the analytics on social media that these guys are creating. The buzz that they're creating online. Instagram likes and Twitter retweets and the hashtags, all this shit. So WWE is going to give it to you as much or as many times as they can until it's not in favor of the fans anymore. And I don't like that. I didn't want to see this match tonight, but I sat down and watched it, being that it was Ray and Almas after what we seen last week. You see, I didn't want to see this match again because this is typical WWE 101. They do something that works, and they continue to do it over and over and over again, and then it gets played out. It gets boring, it gets stale, and then we don't want to see it anymore. But I honestly think, with the way that this ended tonight, I hope WWE moves on from this. We get a little back and forth between them in the Royal Rumble, but we move on from what we've seen with Ray and Almas, and we'll get these guys somewhere later down the line, preferably to WrestleMania. Now, being that it worked the first time, the second time, the third time, this is at least the 4th time that these guys have been in the ring on SmackDown Live, right? So, with being in the ring so many times, you know, the window of creating and making things seem different gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You know, we've seen that Mexican Destroyer spot the first time. Oh my God, everybody was fucking blown away by it. Oh my God, a pile driver on the main roster. Here we are now in the 4th fucking contest between these guys. One of them, I think, was a tag team match. And we're seeing the Canadian/Mexican Destroyer in every match that they do. I've seen several spots that they did in their previous matches in this match. Enough. The feud is going to get boring. The moves in the match are going to be repetitive. And then no one's going to really appreciate it anymore because we've seen it so many fucking times. That's all I can tell you about that. We've seen a Canadian Destroyer. They pulled out a few moves that we didn't see before in this match. There was a Canadian Destroyer or a Mexican Destroyer from the ring apron to the barricade on the outside. That was new. Almas did a sit-out powerbomb off the top rope to win the first fall. That was new. I was like, holy shit, a sit-out powerbomb. Almas Ray's a small guy. How many pounds is Rey Mysterio? 170 pounds, 175 pounds? I don't give a fuck who you are, man. That still takes a lot of strength and God fucking balance to be on the second rope, have Ray on your shoulders, holding him up in a powerbomb position, walk backwards up to the top rope, and not miss a fucking foot. And he jumped off the top rope to do a sit-out powerbomb. Unbelievable move. So, we get that as the first fall. Done. Corey Graves told a great story here. The announcers told a great story. After that, how could Ray come back, fight back? How could he stand up? And you've seen the progress of this match with Ray getting tired. You know, his legs weakening. His legs just giving out on him because Almas was just going to war with him. So we get that as the first fall. The sit-out powerbomb off the top rope. Almas even mocked in this match later on. He mocks Eddie Guerrero, which I actually LOL'd. I thought that was fantastic. We'll get to that in a second because it's in my notes, man. I love that. So Andrade gets the first fall here. So we get the big sit-out powerbomb. Andrade goes right back to work, does another sit-out powerbomb, slingshot this time in the ring, only a 2 count. So then we get Ray sending Almas into the barricade on the outside. Ray with an enziguri, they both go down, referee starts to count. Ray makes it back into the ring, Ray runs the ropes, slides out, turns that into a powerbomb to Almas into the barricade. It looked like a powerbomb or it looked like a fucking half powerbomb, half pile driver into the barricade. It looked brutal, whatever the fuck it was. So, Ray goes back into the inside, and he runs the ropes, and he springboards in. Almas is hit with a big move off the top. I think it was a crossbody. I'm not really sure. I don't remember what it was. Kicks out at 2. Fans chanting 619. Almas counters, applies an armbar on the ropes. So he's got a big armbar on the ropes, works the referee's 5 count. Almas sends Ray arm first into the turnbuckle, and then he starts mocking Eddie Guerrero, which I laughed at. I thought it was great. So Almas does have charisma, man. Almas is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Ray obviously sees this, tries to fight back, power bombs Andrade from the apron to the floor, but Andrade lands on his feet. Andrade comes back and launches Ray into the ring post. Andrade brings it back into the ring and hits a hammerlock DDT. This is where I was being a picky fan. This is where I got fickle, okay? Almas gets his hammerlock DDT on Ray. It's not in the middle of the ring. It's near the ropes. And he hits the hammerlock DDT, which is his finisher, and he goes for the cover. I hate spots like this because if you're going to nail your finisher and that's going to be the end and you winning the match, Almas is such a smart guy. He's an in-ring general. That's all they talked about on commentary, how great Almas is and how everybody's going to fear Almas on the main roster. And how this is going to be a thing for years to come, said Corey Graves. But he does a hammerlock DDT in the ring, which is his finisher, and he doesn't pull Ray from the ropes. So he hits the DDT, he pins, and allows Ray to put his feet on the rope. I don't understand that move. I don't understand the logic in that. You're telling a story about how great he is. If he was so great, why did he have a lapse of judgment in that spot there? Absolutely ridiculous. I hate, not only tonight, I just hate it in general. Oh, let me hit my finishing move and not pull him away from the rope. Fucking ridiculous. So Andrade drops Ray into a Fujiwara armbar. Ray fights back, but Andrade tightens the hold, focuses on the arm now. Back and forth between the two. Andrade counters, covers for a 2. Ray counters a move and hits a big inverted reverse Rana. Andrade kicks out at 2. Ray flies and drops Andrade into the ropes for a 619. Out of nowhere, Samoa Joe comes and power bombs Ray on top of the apron on the outside for the no contest. Joe, like I mentioned, being built up as a threat. He is looking like a credible threat in the Royal Rumble. He took out Ali. So the story being told here was Joe wants to take out Ray, wants to take out Almas. He wants to be king shit on SmackDown Live. I loved where this was going. I thought SmackDown Live was going to end with Samoa Joe saying how he was going to be king shit on SmackDown Live in the Royal Rumble. I told you all this was coming. I told you, each and every one of you, that this was coming. Could have ended it there. Could have made Joe look like a beast to close SmackDown Live. But then we get Randy Orton out of nowhere. Comes out of nowhere, delivers an RKO to Samoa Joe, and that's how SmackDown Live goes off the air. Now, I thought Randy Orton was a heel. Why are you presenting Randy Orton in a feel-good moment to close SmackDown Live on the go-home show before the Royal Rumble? People were going apeshit over this. Now, I remember Randy Orton being a diabolical, psychotic fuck. Maybe he still is. I hope he is. But I didn't like Randy Orton in that spot. We didn't need Randy Orton in that spot. I would have much rather seen the show go off the air with Samoa Joe. God knows he only needs a fucking good spotlight on him and a good showing in the Royal Rumble, being that they haven't done anything else with him. Come on, man. Randy Orton wasn't needed in that spot. Now, we all know Randy Orton's going to be in the Royal Rumble. You didn't need him in that spot to give me the vibe of how threatening Randy Orton is in the Royal Rumble. It's Randy fucking Orton. He's won the Royal Rumble before. We don't need to know, as the show goes off the air, how big of a threat the Viper is. We know already. Can't you give Joe his first Rumble spotlight? Oh, look at Joe. Look at how fucking dominating he is going into Sunday. I didn't like that, man. But out of everything that we've seen tonight, I honestly think that this was the best match that they've had so far, Almas and Ray. And I didn't mind the ending until the Randy Orton situation. This keeps Andrade from losing. This keeps Ray from losing to Andrade again. Now, if WWE is smart, they would not do this again based on the outcome of this match, the no contest. I hope it stays that way. What they could do is prolong this feud. Obviously, visit it in the Royal Rumble again on Sunday. But stay away from doing these two in the ring one-on-one. I think Almas has delivered performance after performance after performance where WWE could really look, or management can look and say, you know, this guy has beaten Ray. Ray hasn't really beaten Almas. He pinned him a week ago. So if they really want to visit this and just base it off how impressive Almas has looked, give him a U.S. title match. I don't expect Nakamura to beat Rusev at the Royal Rumble. First of all, I don't even know why the fuck that match is happening. Because Nakamura has done nothing to get a rematch for the United States Championship. They're just doing it out of whatever, for whatever reason. But Almas' work ethic, you know, you could look at that really being, I guess, responsible for him getting a title shot. Have him get the title shot against Rusev somewhere, at, you know, in between Rumble and Elimination Chamber, maybe at the Elimination Chamber. Have him beat Rusev for the United States Championship. Rusev isn't doing shit with the United States Championship. What has he done? They gave it to him in a feel-good moment on his birthday, on Christmas Day. So give Almas the title. He's done more than show you he's deserving of a shot. It would be his first. And then you have Almas with the championship, and you have Ray chasing, and Ray doesn't get that win back until WrestleMania. Now, I've heard other people mention, I've heard other podcasters mention this situation, and I like this scenario if they want to do that. Give Almas the championship at Elimination Chamber. He becomes the new United States champion. Have them do a situation where you got Almas as the champion putting the title on the line against Ray's mask. One more match. Call it a day. The end-all be-all, the title versus the mask. Open the show for WrestleMania that way and give those guys 25 minutes to tear the fucking house down. I think that would be fantastic. Now, that's not my idea. I've heard that from a few other people. So I'm just telling you guys, if you have not heard that situation yet, that's the way I do it. I think that's a great idea. But what we've seen here tonight, great stuff. Didn't really care for the Randy Orton spot. Almas and Ray proved to you guys that they are king shit on SmackDown Live, especially Almas. And Almas has done a lot to pretty much warrant a title shot. I don't want to hear from anybody. So hopefully WWE's leading in that direction, or leaning rather, that direction towards Almas getting a title shot on SmackDown Live. This was a very good episode of SmackDown Live. This is what I call a go-home show. And I was pleased with most of the stuff that we've seen tonight. You know, unlike Monday Night Raw, which was fucking dismal and just god-awful, SmackDown Live brought it, and they did a lot of right tonight. A lot of good. Excited for the Rumble, man. I can't wait for the Rumble. But I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much. I am going to be back with NXT. It's the go-home show for TakeOver. Johnny Wrestling, Johnny TakeOver versus Ricochet. Who is going to be called Mr. TakeOver, man? I can't fucking wait. That may be match of the year. Jesus Christ, man. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about what those two guys are going to do. Ciampa versus Black. Baszler versus Bianca Belair. The War Raiders versus Undisputed Era. And we got Riddle versus Ono, man. Damn good TakeOver, if you ask me. So we'll go and talk about NXT tomorrow with the go-home show for TakeOver Phoenix. And then the podcast on Friday, man, we're going to hit everything regarding the Royal Rumble. If you missed Monday Night Raw review, link in the annotation. If you missed Off the Script, link in the annotation. And keep in mind, the new t-shirt is going to be on sale this coming weekend, man. Just approved by Barbershop Window. You guys are going to love it. Follow me on social media, at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button. And turn on that bell for all notifications. Twitter, JD from NY206. Instagram, JD from NY206. And Twitch, JD from New York, man. See you guys on Wednesday with NXT. Probably have some more gaming content this week as well. And I'll see you right back here on Friday for the Rumble Preview Prediction Show for Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.